Well, that. At any rate, I was actually talking, and I had this thing muted. Duh. Whatever. I'll get better at this. Main thing is first and foremost, I'm trading, and that's where my my importance is. I don't mind streaming, but that's secondary. Okay, so here we are. I took a long 90-day challenge. This is the account. This is day 2. If you want to follow on a technical level and get all the key levels and exactly what I'm doing, and there'll be a link up today. It'll say 90-day challenge at the top, and it'll have login for a small monthly fee. You can track every single day, every single trade. Right now, as of 8, I think it was I probably took it 8:09 a.m. 2/24/2020. I took a long on the oil. This is QM oil contract. Took a long here. We'll see if we get a pop. Who knows? Last night I began the 90-day challenge with an Australian US dollar long. Checked it 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Decided that was just a dog, not moving much. I mean, I gotta admit, I was right about the relative strength in it, because the markets are, I still have this on, but where it counts in my real interactive brokers, which I'm going to be, showing all the statements and everything, that's off. But this was the entry, 6605. I guess I got to take this off. But on the real money account, I took a little bit more of a loss than this. I think I got out 65.97 or some nonsense like that. And it was a very boring trade. Good thing is it didn't go down much. I still think that there's potential with this to the upside in US session, but it's just been too stagnant, and since I only have 90 days, I have to take momentum trades, and that's not a momentum trade. So we'll see if oil wakes up or not. Now let's put this along. Oh, by the way, trade number 2, gold trade. That was a nice trade. That was a short on gold, and I was in and out in about 15 minutes. That was about 4 a.m. when I got out of the Aussie. I think it was maybe from about here to, let's say, here. This I didn't take. So oil in the middle. Let's bring the S&P into the picture here too. Get a few different charts here. These charts are really easy to use, where interactive brokers, the chart is really good. It's also heavy on the bandwidth, and you can't kind of move these things around so quick like you can. So I don't mind continuing to use this. At some point I'll display the other one. I'm up $1.70 on this tiny account that we'll see. Who knows? It may win big in the next 90 days. We're gonna watch and learn. There's a learning experience from every single trade, win or lose. All right. This to the far right is the S&P 500 index. Got some light support there. Who knows? I should shut that fan off in the background. I actually sleep with a fan on. You know, I didn't even take it on this demo. Let me take one. Just to kind of demonstrate that I'm in it. So, Forex at CFD futures, if you're in the United States and you wanted to trade it, it would be called a future. You can still trade futures outside the United States, but you can trade the futures as CFDs in your Forex account, which is neat. It should be like that. So 8:19 a.m. here. I'm gonna shut down one chart here just to maybe increase the health of my bandwidth here. And just keep up on this stream, the MT4. Gold coming off its highs. That was trade number 2 for the 90-day challenge, was a gold trade short. And let me think offhand. I believe it was at 1688, and then the exit was at 1682. One mini contract. Expect volatility in the markets, trade small. I'll be back in a little. By the way, once I wanna get some more things going on this live, stream. So once we get that going, Maybe I'll activate a separate chat or whatever. I just don't want it to distract me right now. But like I said, I'm going to have key levels, things like that. Eventually I'll have that on the website if people want to go and follow it a bit more in a technical standpoint. For, in other words, why I got in, why I got out of a trade. Of course there'll be a fee to it. I have no idea. Right now, just focus on getting this exciting, I'm going to call it a 90-day challenge. Supposedly, according to a recent study in Brazil, like almost all day traders lose. Alright, well, I don't know. I don't know what study that is, but I do know day traders that do well. I'm keeping myself out of the conversation because it seems like everybody that does trading in Forex is a guru if they have their own website. I don't know. Alright. Let me put something audio on. Do a few things. This is going to require patience, especially in these markets here. We'll see if we can hold this area. If not, who knows? Maybe it could become a short.
There's no such thing as a good or bad memory. There is no such thing as a good or bad memory. There's just a trained memory and an untrained memory.
Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, Pete Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship.
Unless you trade the markets, then you gotta be very patient. So don't apply that to trading. I have, and it didn't work for me at certain points.
Base our self-esteem on what other people think, and that's not really self-esteem. Self-esteem is supposed to be how we feel about ourselves, and I was just saying how dangerous it is to allow other people to determine how you're going to feel about you. And it's kind of like looking into a broken mirror. You're going to look in a broken mirror and then change your face to try to look good in this defiled, busted, broken mirror. And it just, other people's opinions is a really shitty way to determine how we feel about ourselves.
You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. Now, I've been blessed to make hundreds of millions of dollars in my life. I can't take it with me, and neither can you. So it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. And we all have different gifts. Some money, some love, some patience, some an ability to touch people. But we all have it. Use it. Share it. That's That's what counts. Not what you're driving, not what you're flying in, not what kind of house you bought your mama. Dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency. I pray that you all put your shoes way under the bed at night so that you got to get on your knees in the morning.
The one thing I'm most happy about in terms of my career is the fact that I got there with the grace of God, first of all, but short of that, I got there just by working hard, not partying with the right people, not compromising myself in any way or cutting any kind of deals, just by working hard, just by plugging along, sawing wood, as I like to call it. I'm a 20-year overnight sensation. I don't get life mixed up with making a living. I was there for all four of my children being born. When the first one was born, I recognized the difference between life and making a living. Their life, our family's life, acting is making a living.
Well, what do you think the biggest difference between doing a play and doing, it's a cliche question, but I'd be interested to know your answer.
I think a part of what Viola just said is that you get to dig deeper and you get another day.
Right.
And you get the energy. You do a movie and there's 200 people that are used to it and they don't care. And everybody's doing their job and it comes in the theater somewhere and you're picking your nose at home somewhere, cutting your nail. There's no energy.
Right.
When I was on Broadway 5 years ago, Julius Caesar, I made a decision to sign autographs every night. What I did. Yeah, they happening this time. Only as I rub my knees, only because my knees are bad, it's hard for me to stand. But.
And why did you decide to do that?
Well, I wanted to say thank you. It was my way of saying thank you. And the first night, it was like 5,000 people out there. I said, okay, wait a minute. Everybody who has playbills from our show. So, yeah, because it was like people were just wandering up the block. I was like, wait a minute. I forgot I'm on, 42nd Street, Times Square. I was like, wait a minute. But honestly,
You were signing for
the
weeks.
energy, and I was out there an hour and a half every night, every show. But the energy you got back, the stories, the 5 little old ladies who just drove in from Detroit. And I'm like, well, what y'all doing tonight? They said, we getting back in the car, baby. We got to go back tonight. And, a little 84-year-old lady was like, baby, if I was 3 years younger. Oh, true story. True story. Then we had, and I say this also, because I hope it happens with this play. We had some high schools come. We had one school from somewhere, I forgot where, and they were doing Julius Caesar. And some young kid was like, well, my Julius is a bit different. He's more of a classic stoic. But it was great to engage and exchange with these young people. There was an energy. I got more from it than I gave to the people that I signed for. That's, you don't get that. The odd thing about success in film is budgets get bigger.
One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way 52. That's how many books the average CEO reads. 52 books. You should be reading this many books.
Work your ass off. There is no magic pill. It drives me crazy to go to the gym. You read 1 hour a day. I went and worked out 5 hours a day, and I was working on construction. You have 24 hours a day. Organize your day. Work hard. I'm here to talk about success. I went to college. I went and worked out 5 hours a day. And I was working on construction. Because in those days in bodybuilding, there was no money. I didn't have the money for food supplements or anything. So I had to go to work. So I worked in construction. I went to college. I worked out in the gym, and at night from 8 o'clock at night to 12 midnight, I went to acting class 4 times a week. As I did all that, there was not one single minute that I wasted. And this is why I'm standing here today. At the age of 20, I went to London and I won the Mr. Universe contest as the youngest Mr. Universe ever. And it was because I had a goal. You see, if you don't have a vision of where you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go, you drift around and you never end up anywhere. 74% hate their job in America. The majority of people don't like what they're doing because they're really not doing it because they didn't have a goal and they followed this goal. They just aimlessly drift around and all of a sudden there's a job opening so they get their job because you have to work. But then when you work, it's a chore. It's work. It's not fun. So if you think about only a quarter of the people will enjoy what they're doing in life. So people always ask me, when they saw me in the gym in the pumping iron days, they said, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. The others are working out just as hard as you do, and they look sour in the face. Why is that? They told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing the goal, to make this goal, this vision, turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift, to get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2,000 reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise. So let me tell you something, visualizing your goal and going after it makes it fun. You've got to have a purpose no matter what you do in life. You've got to have a purpose. Muhammad Ali worked his butt off. And I saw it firsthand. And I remember that there was a sports writer that was there in the gym and he was working out, he was doing sit-ups. And they asked him, how many sit-ups do you do? And he said, I don't start counting until it hurts. Now think about this. He doesn't start counting his sit-ups until he feels pain. That's when he starts counting. That is working hard. And so you can't get around the hard work, it doesn't matter who it is. Work your ass off. There is no magic pill. There is no magic out there. You cannot get around, you have to work and work and work. Make sure of this and make sure of that and all this stuff. So it's work. And it drives me crazy when people say they don't have enough time to go to the gym for 45 minutes a day and work out. Or to do something for 45 minutes to an hour a day to improve. If it is physically improved or if it is mentally improved. Imagine you read 1 hour a day about history. How much you will learn after 365 hours in 1 year. Think about if you study about the history of musicians, of composers, how much you would know. Imagine if you would work on the business, on some business that you want to develop every day for an hour. Imagine how further along you will go and get. So it drives me nuts because we have, when people say they don't have the time, we have 24 hours a day. We sleep 6 hours a day, so it gives you still 18 hours. And there's someone shaking their head out here in front to say probably, I don't sleep 6 hours, I sleep 8 hours, right? Or just sleep faster. So we have 18 hours a day. The average person works around 8 to 10 hours. So let's assume it's 10 hours, so we have 8 hours left. Then you travel around an hour a day, maybe 2 hours a day. So now you have still 6 hours left. So what do you do with the 6 hours? What do you do with the 6 hours? Maybe eat a little bit, maybe schmooze a little bit, talk a little bit to people and all that stuff. But you can see how much time there is available if you organize your day. So you got to work hard. I hate plan B. And I tell you why. Because we have so many doubters, as I said earlier, the no sayers. We have so many of those people that say no and you can't do it, it's impossible. That is okay because we just turn off. As I said earlier, we listen and we hear the no, the yes, you can't do it, you can't do it, and all that. So that is possible to do that amongst all the negative people around you. But when you start doubting yourself, that's very dangerous. Because now what you're basically saying is that if my plan doesn't work, I have a fallback plan, I have a plan B. That means that you start thinking about plan B, and every thought that you put into plan B, you're taking away now that thought and that energy from plan A. And it's very important to understand that we function better if there is no safety net, because plan B becomes a safety net. It says that if I fail, then I fall and I get picked up and I have something else there that will protect me. And that's not good, because people perform better when there's no safety net. People perform better in sports and everything else if you don't have a plan B. I'm telling you, I've never ever had a plan B. I said I made a full commitment that I'm going to go be a bodybuilding champion. I made a full commitment that I'm going to be in America. I made a full commitment that I'm going to get in the show business and I'm going to be a leading man. No matter what it takes, I will do the work. I will do the work over and over and over until I get it. The same was in politics and everything like that. So to me, it is very dangerous to have a plan B because you're cutting yourself off from the chance of really succeeding. And the reason, one of the main reasons why people want to have a plan B is because they are worried about failing. What is if I fail, then I don't have anything else? Well, let me tell you something, don't be afraid of failing, because there's nothing wrong with failing. You have to fail in order to climb that ladder. There's no one that doesn't fail. Michael Jordan said in one of his interviews, when they said, "You're unbelievable, you're the greatest basketball player of all times." I mean, tell me about that. And he says, well, you just mentioned the successes. But he says, for me to become the greatest basketball player, I missed 9,000 shots when I was playing basketball at the NBA games. So during these games that he was so successful, he missed 9,000 shots. Does it make him a failure? No. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all times, but he failed 9,000 times. You get it? We all fail. It's okay. What is not okay is that when you fail, you stay down. Whoever stays down is a loser. And winners will fail and get up. Fail and get up. Fail and get up. You always get up. That is a winner. That is a winner. I failed in bodybuilding. I lost bodybuilding competitions. I lost powerlifting competitions. I lost weightlifting competitions. I had movies that went to the toilet that were terrible, got the worst reviews. And in politics, I remember I had many of the initiatives on the ballot process. This is okay, and this is why I say don't be worried about losing, because when you're afraid of losing, then you get frozen. You get stiff, you're not relaxed. You have to be, in order to perform well in anything, if it's in boxing or if it is on your job or with your thinking, is only happening when you relax. So relax. It's okay to fail. Let's just go all out and give it everything that you got. That's what it is all about. So don't be afraid to fail.
As Theodore Vail noted, real difficulties can be overcome. It's only the imaginary ones that are uncomfortable. The reason that I love that is because it is a powerful reminder. At the end of the day, you're choosing what to believe. At the end of the day, all those things in your head that seem like you could never get over them, you've made them up. You've decided to obsessively focus on those things. And as Oprah said, what we dwell on is who we become. And think about that for a second. Think about today. Just audit your thoughts. What did you spend your time thinking on? Did you obsessively think about the way that things could go right? Or did you obsessively think about the things that could go wrong? All the myriad ways that you need to protect yourself. And that's how it feels. In the moment, you think, I'm just planning for the worst case scenario. I'm thinking through all the ways that something could go wrong so that I can be prepared for it. Not understanding that what you're doing is focusing on all the ways that it could go wrong. They're imagined futures. They are not real. And in that, like a race car driver goes where the eyes go, you will go where your thoughts go. You will become your thoughts. So instead of boxing yourself in and thinking only about all the different ways that something could be bad, could break, could fall to pieces, think about all the things that you could do if you take the action. All the myriad ways that things could come to your aid and work out for the better. Obsessively think on that and let failure be a total surprise. In that, you will take the actions that you need to be successful. But first, you've got to train yourself to obsess over all the ways your life could go right. From there, you'll act.
You got to put your whole self in. Right? You got to cut off the cell phone. You got no TV. There were those of you who were watching the game last night, you really didn't have no business watching these boys win a national title, going to the NBA, making millions. You didn't have no business watching them because you're not where you need to be. Right? Some of y'all don't have no business watching. I told you, I want English 3 times like a little.
But there's no excuse for anyone to work harder than you do. At the end of the day, whether you believe in talent or not is completely irrelevant. Everyone should believe in hard work. Everything in your life is literally a result of that. You're born an infant, a lump of flesh that can't even hold its own head up. And yet somehow, by practicing, by learning, by growing, you're able to get better. You're literally incapable of anything when you're born. Every skill that you have in your life, all the things that you take for granted, at one point you couldn't do them. So understanding that humans truly are an adaptation machine and that they are capable of acquiring any skill that they want, but it requires hard work. It requires that you do the reps. It requires that you put in the effort. And at the end of the day, the people that you're going to surpass are not going to be the people that have less talent than you. Maybe they even have more talent than you. It's going to be the people that you're willing to outwork. But until you're willing to outwork them, you're always going to be stuck. And as John Irving said, to do anything really well, you have to overextend yourself. And that's the key. If you want to put in an extraordinary performance, if you want to absolutely dazzle people, then you have to do something amazing. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to do things that other people think are going to break you, that other people simply believe there's no way that you could be able to pull that off, that the human animal just is not capable of the lengths to which you are professing to go. And when you profess it, you have to be willing to back it up, and you have to put yourself on that march knowing in no uncertain terms, under no circumstances, and for no reason whatsoever would you ever be willing to back down. And when you go in with that level of certainty, then and only then are you actually going to be able to pull this off. And as Billie Jean King said, champions keep playing until they get it right. Fatigue will literally chip away at your will to win. It is the thing inside of your mind, that weak voice that tells you that you're not going to be able to make it. The weak voice that begs you to stop, and the weak voice that promises safety and security if you would just quit. And here's the worst part about that. It's right. If you quit right now, if you stop, just sit down, relax. You're not at risk anymore. You're not at risk of embarrassment. You're not at risk of failure. But you're also not at risk of greatness. And if you really want to achieve something, you've got to find ways to put yourself at risk of something great happening. You've got to put yourself at risk of overextending yourself. You've got to be willing to face that you may die, that you may actually fall. And here's the thing, for the people that dismiss that say they would never put themselves in that situation, then you have limits. And make no mistake, those limits are self-placed. And for the people that are willing to push that, for people that are willing to go beyond that, for people who understand there are things in this world that they're prepared to die for, and it is the thing that they put at the center of their life, it is the thing that they are living for, but they're not going to stop, and they understand that where the human mind thinks it will break is far short of where it will actually break. But before you can find that point, you've got to be willing to push yourself. You've got to be willing to go harder and farther than anybody thinks is reasonable or sensible. That's the path. And so the question is, can you be thought a fool? The question is, do you believe in something so much that you would put yourself at risk like that? The question is, can you face down everyone, including the weak voice inside of your own mind, to make the world come true that you want to see come true? Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to do it for you. So if you're a champion, keep going until it's done.
What would amazing look like for you? What would amazing look like if you were amazing? If you know what amazing looks like, then why haven't you gotten there yet? I want you to say, the reason I'm not as amazing yet because I hit the snooze button. That's why I'm not amazing right now. The reason why I'm not amazing right now is because I couldn't get up early enough because I told myself I'm not an early person. I don't get on Twitter every blue moon. I don't get on my app every blue moon. The reason why some of you will never be successful because you're not immersed in it. When you wake up in the morning, look at your goals. Your goals will tell you what time to get up. Are you hearing me? Your goals will tell you who you should be hanging out with. I can't tell you, but your goals will tell you how much sleep do you need. You might not need to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning for your goals, but your goals are going to define what time you get up, how you live your life, how you move, when you say yes, when you say no.
Think like the person you intend to become.
I want your dream to be so clear, so vivid, right? That when you wake up in the morning, all you got to do is step in your dream. The difference between people who talk about it and people who do it is one simple word, application. They hear it, and they don't just hear it, they digest it. And when they digest it, boom, they do something with it. If you are alive, I know you ain't reached your best yet, right? You got more. You can do more. You can see more. You can be more. I know that all your energy, all your strength, all your skills, all your capabilities, right? You're not operating on 1,000%. I know there's still some things you can do, some limits that you can push, some buttons you can push, some opportunities that you haven't explored. And the second thing I know is this. I know that you are not experiencing life to its fullest.
Like life itself is a process of becoming, a part of man's ongoing historical drive to manifest his consciousness outside of his mind, in front of his eyes.
Greatness is when we overcome our own boundaries, when we surprise ourselves.
When mapped out, when we get the long view,
what makes you well up.
Somewhere deep inside, you know what kind of person you were designed to be. Ask yourself, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do?
Greatness is upon you. And it's time for you to bring that thing out. There's power in consistency. There's power in doing something over and over and over and over again. There's power in practice. Don't rush the process. Yeah, feel me. Some of y'all trying to rush the 21 days. It takes 21 years to be 21 years old. Don't rush the process. Trust the process. It's a matter of life and death. Yes, it's a job you don't want, but that job is going to propel you and position you for the next job. It's not just a class. It's the rest of your life. Are you hearing me? It's not just working out. It's an extra year on your life. It's not just eating right. It's another 7 years on your life. It's a matter of life and death. And so your life is in your hands. Your dream is in your hands. Your future is in your hands.
Discipline is a pathway to creativity.
The most important variable in behavior change is forcing yourself to behave differently than you feel.
One thing that discipline definitely does help you with is it helps you get things done. And when you get things done, when you actually do things, you have more success. If you have more success, and sometimes a big part of success is just not being lazy and just doing it.
Yeah.
That's like 90% of it is just showing up. Get there and start working. Like, you're not going to feel perfect every day, because there's a lot of days I don't want to do it. I mean, it's pretty much the same with everybody that actually gets good at something. There's got to be those days you push through, and they're probably going to be more numerous than the days you don't. And so the benefit of discipline in my eyes has always been that through discipline I get things done. I always say that I'm like the most lazy, disciplined person I know, because I don't want to do it, but I always do.
Separates people from success and not being successful. I've never met a person who was not successful that didn't have a great amount of self-discipline within their life. Self-discipline and being able to perform and being able to keep your life on schedule and being able to keep commitments and promises and meet deadlines is essential to success.
You develop the discipline. The discipline, and I talk about that all the time. The fact that discipline equals freedom, and the more discipline you have as a human, the more freedom you're going to have, which is completely counterintuitive. People think, oh, you're living this disciplined lifestyle, so that means you don't have any freedom. And it's actually the exact opposite. I have freedom because I have discipline. I have financial freedom because I have financial discipline. I have more time. I have more time because I have the discipline to get up in the morning, before most normal people get up. Those are the kind of disciplines that you put into place, and those definitely get instilled through the military.
Get a pad and paper and write down 1 or 2 things that you're going to commit to doing every single day, no matter what. You're gonna use that motivation to build a machine for yourself. I'm gonna write in my journal every single day. I'll write a full page in my journal every single day. You become a machine. You don't think about whether you're going to write in your journal or not. You do it because you already made that commitment. Every single day, no matter what. It does not matter if both of your hands were cut off and you have to use your freaking mouth or the pen and write in your journal. You write in your freaking journal every single day. You don't think about it. When you have built a habit, it's ingrained in your nervous system in such a way that the brain doesn't even have to consider whether or not it'll get done. It just gets done because you committed. Commit once. Commit once. You don't need to commit more than once. You commit once to the thing that you're going to do, and then you do it every single day. That everyday method is one of the most powerful methods for reconstructing your entire life. Picking something one thing. I can't emphasize this enough, how important it is for you to commit to small things on a daily basis, because that is what transforms you. It's those tiny little actions. It's not the grand visions. It's the tiny actions that move towards a worthy ideal.
As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Wherever you are right now listening to this, I want you to burn that into your mind. The most powerful weapon that you're going to have at your disposal isn't a gun, it isn't a sword, it isn't a bomb. The most powerful weapon you will ever have at your disposal, if you really want to make change, is knowledge. It doesn't mean going to school. It can be school, it can be books, it can be a mentor, it can be somebody else's failure, it can be your own failure. But whatever it is, to always be learning, to be learning something today, knowing that that's an investment. And as Robert Louis Stevenson said, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but rather by the seeds you plant. And that's what knowledge is. That's what the learning process is you're learning something today that you may not even understand how it's going to be valuable. But one day, that piece of knowledge is going to come to your aid. One day, that thing that you learned is going to be something that you're going to lean on. One day, that thing that you've worked your ass off to understand better than anybody else in the world, it's going to help you change the world. But you have to be doing it now. You have to be learning with an obsession. You have to understand that ideas in equal ideas out, and that you have to chase that knowledge down, that it is a relentless pursuit, and that like you would build an armada, like you would create a stockpile of weapons, you must create a stockpile of knowledge. You must learn and learn and learn, and you must hold yourself accountable every day to planting those seeds, to getting better, to learning more, to understanding things more broadly. When you do that, there will be nothing that won't be unlocked to you. And that's what I want you guys to understand. It doesn't matter where you are now. It doesn't matter where you started, your circumstances, the money, the people that you know. None of it matters. What matters is how much are you willing to learn? How good are you willing to get? How much knowledge are you willing to soak in? Because that will become your weapon. That will be how you rise up, and that will be the thing that will protect you when you need it most. Do something incredible tomorrow, learn today.
Being a student, I know how it feels. You get home from a long, stressful day at school, and all you want to do is get in your warm pajamas, lay in your comfortable bed, and watch Netflix all day. But instead, you got 3 papers, 2 tests, 2 projects, and some worksheets.
That this is what I do. You have pride in that, and then when you are in front of that keyboard and you look down the count, it says put 1,000 words in. You're doing the work, and out of that work, gems blossom. And it's about resistance that people feel when you know you should write, or you know you should paint, or whatever you sculpt, whatever these things are that you pursue. And that there's this thing that comes up that tries to keep you from doing that. This resistance. And he's like, this is a battle that you will fight for the rest of your life. But the key is to fight it. Not to give in. Don't give in to that resistance. To fight, just to fight that resistance. And in doing so, every day you do so, you have won the battle for that day. And you will continue to fight that battle.
You've got to sell yourself every day on your abilities, on what you're doing, on the goal that you want to reach. You've got to sell yourself every day, every day, every day. According to your level of belief, it will manifest itself in what you're doing. Whatever we have right now, whatever we're demonstrating in our lives, is a result of what we believe subconsciously that we deserve. And part of increasing that belief level is that you have got to convince yourself every day. See, the last chapter to your life has not been written yet, and it doesn't matter about what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter about the things that you've done that you feel guilty about. If you wouldn't do it today, you're convicting an innocent person.
And I'm going to be dead honest with myself because I'm realizing this is not going to last forever. And I'm going to get myself in shape and I'm going to eat healthy. And I'm going to do this because this is me now. I decide that this is me. And people have to realize that you are not your past. You are not all the times you've done. You're not all the times you've drunk. That's not you. You are the person who's learned from a great deal of experience.
You can learn all the techniques in the world. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen for you.
When that alarm clock goes off, there's at least 50% of the time where you just, that soft little pillow is just caressing your head and you want to stay there. And it takes discipline to go, nope, I'm going to get up out of this bed, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do.
We all average probably about 5 hours of sleep. Working on sleepiness.
Tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off and you start feeling all the excuses that come in, and that bed is cozy. I know what you're saying. I love my bed too. And you then go 5, 4, 3, 2, wanting to get up.
That discipline that you have at that moment, you win that fight. That's a big victory. And then that pattern will carry out throughout the day. Because once you're up, well, now that I'm up, I might as well go work out because I'm already up and I feel good that I got up out of bed and I won that battle. Let me go win another battle and go get it done. And that discipline carries on throughout the day. So now you take that and you expand that out over a week and a month, and you end up with more discipline. And it starts with that simple act of getting up and getting out of bed in the morning.
I work out twice before everyone wakes up. So it started off 4 o'clock in the morning where I'd start my cardio, then I do breakfast, and then I'll go to the gym, and then I go to work. So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning so no one else is awake yet. So that gives me the opportunity to do things that I need to get done kind of selfishly for myself. And the big one in that category is working out. And it doesn't feel good at 4:30 when you get up, but by the time 7 o'clock rolls around and you've already worked out, you've already gotten some work done, and you've got some time to say goodbye to your kids before they go to school, it's infinitely better than sleeping in until 6:45 and you get out of bed and now you missed your kids going to school or whatever. You're not prepared for the day. It's awful. Wake up at the same time every day. And if you pick that time and you start waking up at the same time every day, that's very good for you. It doesn't have to be 4:30. It could be 6:30. It could be 7. I don't know what your personal schedule is. Find out a time, pick it, set it, stick to it.
Look, everyone has a problem with time. But the day is 24 hours, and we sleep 6. Now, I know there's some out there that say, whoa, I need 8. But I say just sleep a little faster. Because the bottom line is we have 6 hours of sleep, 24 hours are available, so you have 18 hours now available to your work, your family, your hobbies, and also to learn something new or to do something new, which could easily be that you want to learn a new language, to read a book every week, or you say, I'm going to go and reshape my body. So you're going to go and take this hour out of your schedule and say, I'm going to train an hour every day. So this is, for most people, a huge challenge, but it is totally doable, I can tell them, because the kind of things that I did when I came to this country. I mean, I went to school, I was working in construction, I was working out my 5 hours a day, I was taking acting classes from 8 o'clock at night to 12 midnight. I was doing all of those things. I wanted to make sure that out of the 24 hours of the day, that I don't waste one single hour. Those hours were too precious. And so then I just want to tell people, don't give me this thing, I have a difficult time with the time, and I don't have time for this, and I don't have that. You have time. You make the time.
Sometimes, even if you're the most highly motivated person in the world, that grind starts to beat you down a little bit. And that's when you have to stop looking at the short-term thing, because that's not getting you to get it done. You got to look, okay, what is the long-term goal that I'm looking at? What am I really trying to get done in the long term? And you say, oh, you know what? I'm actually waking up today early so I can be ahead of the curve, so I can sell more of these widgets or whatever, so that I can buy a house. And you know what? Today matters. Today matters. This decision that I'm making right now is that first step. It's me taking one stroke, swimming in the right direction, heading towards the shore. And if I don't take this, I'm not making any progress.
I've been struggling, still had all the same problems. I still had a lien on the house, still facing bankruptcy, still fighting like crazy, I was still unemployed. The next morning, the alarm goes off, and I pretended NASA was there. It's the stupidest story. I literally went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I counted out loud, and then I stood up. And I'll never forget standing there, and for the first time in 3 months, I had beaten my habit of hitting the snooze button. I couldn't believe it, and I thought, wait a minute. Counting backwards? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Well, the next morning I used it again, and it worked. The next morning I used it again, and it worked. The next morning I used it again, and it worked. And then I started to notice something really interesting. There were moments all day long, just like that 5-second moment in bed, where I knew, knowledge, what I should do. And if I didn't move within 5 seconds, my brain would step in and talk me out of it. Every human being has a 5-second window. Might even be shorter for you. You have about a 5-second window in which you can move from idea to action before your brain kicks into full gear and sabotages any change of behavior. Because remember, your brain is wired to stop you from doing things that are uncomfortable or uncertain or scary. It's your job to learn how to move from those ideas that could change everything into acting on it in the smallest moment.
So how do you make it? How do you overcome the odds?
I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes in the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. We're in hell right now. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell.
Or you could be like me. Dream of pro football, get hurt, dream over. Find yourself with just $7 in your pocket. So how did I get here? By being the hardest worker in the room.
Now it's time to see who has a heart. Now is the time to prove to yourselves and prove to everyone out there we're somebody. We're worthy of something. And you're able to do something special that no one else in the world can do. Are you ready to go out there and take what's yours? Yeah! What you worked hard for? Yeah!
All of us in life have things we want. We don't get what we want. We get what we have to have. We all get what we tolerate in ourselves and other people. But when you're no longer willing to tolerate something, that's when your life changes. Everyone in the world has a list of things they think they should do. I should lose weight. I should work out. I should spend more time with my kids. I should work harder, I should make more calls, I should. And then you know what? People don't do their shoulds, and they get mad at themselves. They beat themselves up about it. What changes people is when your should becomes a must. When suddenly the thing you said should happen has to happen. That's when human beings change. It's like if you want to take the island and you're the head of the army and you want to take the island, the most powerful way to take the island is burn the boats. Because if there's no way to go back, it's amazing what happens when it's a must to do something versus a should. That's what makes human beings succeed.
Ego is the success inhibitor. You have to do your best not to make decisions based off of ego for sure.
Success and failure are generally slow processes. Either slowly building things up or gradually tearing them down. And that's why I say you've got to pay attention. You have to watch. You have to watch every single second. Because those seconds, they turn into minutes. And minutes turn into hours. And hours turn into days. And days turn into years. And so, that second that just went by, that counted. And so did that second. And so did that one. And in those precious seconds, you were either building or you were decaying. You were either gaining ground or you were losing ground. In that second. And in every second. Every second counts. So, make every second count.
The dream shattered, sent home with $7 in my pocket. I was like, wait, no, I gotta play in the NFL eventually. Those are my big goals. That's my dream. You realize that playing in the NFL was the best thing that never happened because it got me here. So my point is, look, you're gonna get your ass kicked. We're gonna get the shit kicked out of us. You gotta get up. You gotta have faith that the one thing you wanted to happen oftentimes is the best thing that never happened. So have faith. Just keep that in mind and keep plugging away.
It's another early morning. Every morning, every day of our lives, we have choices to make. You have the choice to stay in bed, to say, forget it, I'm not going to work out today, or forget it, I'm not going to work hard today. You always have a choice every single day of your life. Today, no one cares what you did yesterday. You got to change your dialogue. Yeah, used to be mentality doesn't work. What have you done today to better yourself? Today's another day. Today's another day that I'm faced with another choice to make. So I'm making the choice again to put my shoes on early in the morning and get active again. Make the right decision. Well, some of you read that I think about when it's hot outside, that it's sunny and 70. Well, it's fucking not today. It's the reality. It's about 90 degrees and 100% humidity. But who gives a shit? That being said, September 3rd, I had to have my book turned in. And when I realized, I'm reading this book a lot, but I realized I wasn't born this motherfucker. I made him.
At the bottom of insecurities, fear, self-doubt, lies, was me buried in the fucking fetal position. How I got out of that was recognizing it, being honest with it, being truthful with it, and then fixing it. We like to live on social media with lies about ourselves, how great we are. Get to the source and fix the problem. I'm a big believer in doing something that sucks every single day of your life. I believe it's a key component into strengthening your mind. Every day you're trying to find more of what you're capable of. And that's the big question. What are you capable of? Stop doing the things that you do every day. You run every day. Go swim. Flipping a towel, one tire for a mile. You'll definitely build something. So, I'm all about cows in the mind. Do something that sucks. Don't get it twisted. It's not about flipping tires. I'm in Las Vegas right now and it's hot as shit. It's not about any of that. But what it is about is a lot of us give total control to life. We don't have any control of it. We just give all control to life. I do this shit every morning to prepare my mind for what life's gonna throw at me. A healthy body gives you a healthy mind. That's what it's about.
So I just got back from a long run, and what I realized for myself and for a lot of people is that life is one big tug of war between mediocrity and trying to find your best self. So there's tricks to all this crap in life. Life is one big hang game. One trick in this situation is, so I didn't want to run, so what did I do? I figured out a couple of things. You have to sometimes let mediocrity think that you're giving into it. So I said, you know what, instead of going for a 20-miler, let's go out for an easy 6 or 7. What that did to my brain was said, okay, mediocrity thought it won. So let loose a little bit and let go of that, oh, this is gonna suck. This could be okay, it's not too bad. The second you get to mile 2, guess what happens? Greatness pulls mediocrity in the fucking mud. Get out there and get after it.
You want to go about the right mindset, the right gear. In combat, you wear body armor. But what we do wrong is we don't strengthen our minds. You gotta strengthen your mind, take control of that. So then when you get out in the real world and they fuck you up, you got protection. So I'm about 15 miles from home, and I often talk about taking souls. This morning, this person, I usually train alone. This person wanted to run with me. And I said, fine, we'll run 15. This morning comes, there's storms coming in this way, and the person calls and said, hey, why don't we do it tomorrow? Taking souls, and when I told the motherfucker, I'm gonna run 15 today, and I'll run with you again tomorrow. That's what taking souls is about. Don't worry about the elements and what's going on. You gotta get out there and get it. He wasn't the only one that thought about taking the day off. Because the storm's coming in right now, and there's not a soul out here but me. If you want to get better, do the shit that no one else wants to do. Do the shit that no one else is even thinking about doing. At the end of the day, hard work may not be enough. You still may fail. Just stay at it, go ahead.
more things you can do. Get outside that zone. That zone is that zone that makes you feel good. The stronger your mind's gonna get. It starts getting used to doing shit like this. It's not fun. My mind's used to it.
When you crawl out from underneath the covers every morning and you sit on the edge of the bed, you have a choice before you.
We're wired differently. We have to set a goal. And if we hit that goal, we're guaranteed to make sure all that other stuff in the middle is going to happen. Why 3 o'clock in the morning? Why don't you sleep? My appetite. My appetite. I say, E.T., I want more. I can do more. If I accomplish this without a father, if I accomplish this with my mom being a teenage mom, if I accomplish this as a high school dropout, if I can accomplish these things from this start, now that I'm at this place, knowing what I know now, what can I accomplish? And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about more than just what you're going to do financially, more than what you're going to do in this industry in the next 3 years, right? More than that, what's your appetite? What are you going to do that will ensure that when the alarm clock goes off, that you're already up 10, 20 minutes before your alarm clock goes off? Why?
Do the work. Do the fucking work.
You've heard me say it before. No alarm clock needed. My passion wakes me up. Listen to me. No alarm clock needed. I can. I will. I must.
Sometimes the only way to go about doing the work is get fucking raw and get fucking intense. Get angry and aggressive and make it fucking happen for yourself. Start today. I don't care when your life clock started ticking.
My dream is to help people understand how the universe operates so that each person can find their own unique purpose within the cosmic plan. My name is Matthias Stefani, and my purpose is to remember. Since I was 3, I began to remember past life.
And start fucking right now today. It's 4:15 a.m. in my world. You're on the East Coast and it's 6:15 a.m.
Do the rich people cringe and say, don't tell them that, Rob?
Yes. Don't tell people what you know. Keep them poor. My father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and said, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no. Your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no. You're supposed to just get a job. I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, And he got flustered and he said, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? And I said, why? That's Mike. So why ask him? He said, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He said, I'm an employee. I'm a government employee. I went, oh, what's the difference? He says, the difference is an entrepreneur must know about money, or they're no longer entrepreneurs. And he says an employee doesn't have to know anything about money. The government will take care of them, the company will take care of them. So I'm all confused. But I took my dad's advice and I trundled over to Mike's father's office and knocked on his door and I said, hey, I'm here, 9 years old. Teach me about money. He says, beat it, kid, But that's when the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad started. And finally, through persistence, my rich dad started teaching me about money on one condition. And that condition was he would never pay me. He says, the moment I pay you, you think like an employee. He says, that's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free. And now I'm 9 years old, my head's going cracking in half. He says, you never
ever want a paycheck, understand that, kid? Okay, I got it. And he says, well, how do I make money? He says, that's what entrepreneurs figure out. It's like, so how do I learn about money? So he would just break out a Monopoly game board. So I would work for free and pick up cigarette butts and get hotels and restaurants, and I would clean and do menial tasks. And as I got older, I started getting into office work, marketing, and accounting. And I was an apprentice, basically, but I always worked for free. And he would teach me about money. But the way he taught me about money was playing Monopoly. And finally one day I got upset. I said, well, when are you going to teach me about money? He says, what do you think we're doing? We're playing Monopoly. He goes, no. What do you think we're doing? We're playing Monopoly. He says, what do you think we're doing? I don't know. I'm teaching you about money. And then that's when, you have one green house. He says, there's many formulas for great success in money. There's thousands of them. But one of the best ones found on the game of Monopoly. Still is today. 4 green houses, 1 bed hotel. I said, what? He says, one of the greatest ways to acquire great wealth is playing Monopoly in real life. 4 green houses, 1 bed hotel. Like, is that all there is? He goes, that's it. And he says, what do you think I'm doing? And I went, I don't know. So then he took me out and he showed me his greenhouses. And 10 years later, when I was 19, I was now in school in New York, and I come back to Hawaii, and Rich Dad had bought the biggest piece of land smack dab in the middle of Waikiki Beach. And when you go to Waikiki Beach today, you'll see the Hyatt Regency Hotel. That was his hotel.
Just like the game of Monopoly.
Just like the game of Monopoly.
Acquired assets and they became bigger assets.
He just kept what's called an assemblage, because that property wasn't that big at the time, so he had to buy out all the small guys. Because Waikiki was a little dirtwater little town. So he'd buy out this shop owner and buy that shop owner. And it took him a while, but he finally assembled this large piece of property. And then he and Hyatt put up this giant hotel. It just sold for $800 million. So that's how I learned about money. I've had financial crashes. I've had people stab me in the back. But they're all good, because I grow from it. That's spirituality. People who are afraid of making mistakes, like they teach in school, they don't ever grow. Because spirituality is there's good and there's bad. There's right and there's wrong. There's up and there's down. Most people only want to be right. They only want to be positive. Well, you can't have that. That's not reality. Well, I wasn't poor by most people's standards, but I came from a family with a poor attitude, if you know what I mean. Because rich, poor, middle class, poverty starts with a fundamental attitude. Poverty is passed on. It's taught in the families. And middle class is taught in families. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially.
Alright guys, I'm in my super sick car and I'm at my super sick mansion and then, oh wait, I'm in
financially, or worried about money, or unhappy if they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing. It was probably taught to you. Your super ego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never.
catamarano sfogo, diretto come un destro sul costato, diretto come i voli e le puttane di stato. Non vado alle differenze, sparo su ste frequenze, frammenti d'odio che vi lascio come confidenze. La vita scorre, non c'è tregua, andiamo al tranza, qua l'odio ammazza, l'amore è solo circostanza, qua qualcosa in più di un'altra sillaba su un foglio. Frammenti d'odio, qua la vita scorre, non c'è tregua, andiamo al tranza, qua l'odio ammazza, l'amore è solo circostanza, qua qualcosa in più di un'altra sillaba su un foglio. Frammenti d'odio, frammenti d'odio.
Rally here at the open.
Yes, yes, yes. Don't tell people what you know. People poor. My father was the head of education. PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, I said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and said, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. Government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no. Your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no. You're supposed to just get a job. I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, And he got flustered and he said, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? And I said, why? That's Mike. So why ask him? He said, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He said, I'm an employee. I'm a government employee. I went, oh, what's the difference? This is the difference is an entrepreneur must know.
Mi ha fatto così, non toccare me la mia famiglia, sto tranquillo che fumo vaniglia, corro forte siamo i primi in pista, giovane, fuori classe, giovane, fuori classe, giovane, fuori classe, giovane, fuori classe, piazza campione come Ronaldo, scemo mi stavo solo allenando, se ora sono cazzi sono sceso in campo, 10 palle nelle barre, dalle stalle ma alle stelle, coreati nelle palle, cicatrici sulla pelle, impegniamo con le guardie avanti, faccia sporca come un trafficante, nella zona meglio che ti calmi, frate c'ho contatto da tutte le parti, corro, faccio passi avanti, i miei ragazzi fatti in casa con le armi, siamo bravissimi ma costanti, non ci calmi manco con calmanti, manco ci credeva a questo, non voglio morire presto, bravo sì ma mica fesso, nel non blocco buio pesto, nuovo giorno, nuovo arresto, io ci credo nel successo, nella gabbia io non ci finisco, muoio da leggenda come Jackson, si sto blocco mi ha fatto così, trovi tutto dentro gli angoli, fuori per i soldi facili, sono a tavola coi diavoli, ehi, sono a tavola coi diavoli, questi mi offrono sti calici, e questi ragazzi magici, sto blocco mi ha fatto così, non toccare me la mia famiglia, sto tranquillo che fumo vaniglia, corro forte siamo i primi in pista, giovane, fuori classe, giovane, fuori classe, giovane, fuori classe, fuori classe, giovane, fuori classe, ricordo in tasca non c'era niente, trovaci nelle piazze, dentro le tasche per bei diversi, ora muoviamo le masse, mangiamo pesce come non bastasse, tieniti le frasi fatte, hai la faccia bianca come le scarpe, sono fuori e do spettacolo, plata magico, più puttane sembra amico no, spuzzi facciamo un triangolo, dimmi come siamo messi, fuori classe sì li ho messi, noi di notte stiamo svegli, pensiamo a nuovi progetti, alziamo la coppa Wembley, questo blocco mi ha fatto così, alcuni solo rimangono, parla ma ne siamo qui, pure se il mio fatto poi li rifarò. Viviamo oggi, ma già domani io no, non lo so. Scadi alla moci, in tasca Nokia nell'altra l'iPhone. Si sto blocco mi ha fatto così, ah.
Trouble hearing? Don't skip this video. If you're suffering from premature hearing loss, the struggle could soon be over. Thanks to recent technological advances, hearing aids are not anymore discreet.
Dentro la mia testa, yeah. Sto col culo su una testa, addosso roba pesante. Ma come immaginavo questo, mamma guarda come vola adesso. In un 5 stelle prima stavo nel campetto. Spera ne fa un'altra cici versa su Codenzo. Mamma non perdo tempo facendo, yeah. Gira a destra in una testa, manicomio nella testa, latte e nome nelle piazze. Tu niente di interessante, yeah. Il bicchiere sempre pieno e viola, il mio amico con una ruota vola. Non sei Tony, non sei manco Sosa, voglio il culo su una Tesla nuova. Ho visto le guardie a destra, in tasca una cosa che no frate non è concessa. E te stanno spiando dalla finestra. Mi sembra chiaro che non mi interessa. A volte mi gira la testa, testa coda sto con la mia tipa su una Tesla. Già penso dentro un emoticon della pesca. A 180 mettendo la sesta, lei mi dice rallenta ma mi gira la testa. Testa coda sto con la mia tipa su una Tesla. Già penso dentro un emoticon della pesca. A 180 mettendo la sesta, lei mi dice rallenta. Lancio soldi per aria, nulla mi cambia, nulla mi calma, bevo la mia bevanda. Succo rosa, sono una canaglia, soldi più soldi faranno una muraglia. Ehi, yeah, e ci cammino sopra con le scarpe nuove, mo giro altre zone, bevo te in zona. Giro mo sconte, cavalco le onde, scrivo tutte parole, compare ma è il migliore. Tesla energia come il sole, in tasca soldi da soli, voglio una Tesla arancione. Adesso tutto è migliore. Adesso ho una ragione. Ho visto le guardie a destra, in tasca una cosa che no frate non è concessa. E te stanno spiando dalla finestra. Mi sembra chiaro che non mi interessa. A volte mi gira la testa, testa coda sto con la mia tipa su una Tesla. Già penso dentro un emoticon della pesca. A 180 mettendo la sesta, lei mi dice rallenta ma mi gira la testa. Testa coda sto con la mia tipa su una Tesla. Già penso dentro un emoticon della pesca. A 180 mettendo la sesta, lei mi dice rallenta ma mi gira la testa. entrati tutti alla tua festa. Io non cambierò mai, no mai. Voglio andare lontano da qua. Ho risolto i miei guai, ormai. Fanculo chi parlava fra. Io non cambierò mai, no mai. 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 Sono a tavola col diavolo, nel telefono soltanto putte che mi chiamano. Oggi pure me la cavo bro, tu mi aspetti ma io scappo mami. Sono in ciò per tiro fine piani, sull'Apollo c'è un alligatore. C'ho di tutto nello zen Armani, bello calmo non alzi le mani. Sti ragazzi sanno che cos'è la strada, voglio money, solamente money per tutta la squadra. Fumo grammi mentre parli, non ti cago siamo già impegnati. La mia bocca spara, troppo tempo che ho la bocca amara. Siamo avanti finché siamo in gara, vivo e morto chiuso in una bara. Sono uscito fuori dalla tana, io ho cresciuto dentro la savana. Oh yeah, ti amo mamma, non mi sono perso per la strada. 4 alberghi in una settimana, voglio tutto ciò che mi mancava. Oh yeah. Io non cambierò mai, no mai. Voglio andare lontano da qua. Ho risolto i miei guai, ormai. Fanculo chi parlava fra. Io non cambierò mai, no mai. 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 Noi fuori scuola, fra ci becchiamo allora. Sta roba buona, le palpe tiri e vola. Vieni un po' con me, ti spiego un po' sta storia. Che in alto chi non vola, che in basso ci prova. Classe avanci, la mia squadra è liata qui. Sta puta manda qui, ti do il cazzo e basta miss. Il mio frac che basta ci impasta pari mix. Contro le guardie trick, sulla tua faccia X. Non sono cambiato, sono cresciuto. Alcuni ora manco li saluto, alcuni ora mi leccano il culo. Questo è già saputo, come questa sul letto che mi dà il culo. Vado sul sicuro, dammi da mangiare che c'è fra, ti giuro. Tu vuoi mollare, sei attaccato al culo. Mi prendo tutto, abbiamo fame dal debutto. Non avere niente è tutto, non avere niente appunto. Divido il pane con chi è giusto, se vinco frate c'è più gusto. Per questi mani mamma. Nessuno che mi calma. Sta droga una condanna. Calma. Sta canna non mi calma. Sta donna non mi cambia. Sta faccia non si scorda. Il male che ritorna. Tu come stai? Io sto una bomba. Tu con i miei ci stiamo. Qua ciuno e lavoriamo. Se cerchi i miei ci sono. Di tutto e sto isolato. Se cerchi i miei ci stiamo. Qua giù tutto è più strano. Se cerchi i miei ci sono. Ti fanno il prezzo buono. Ok. Non parlare troppo dei miei. Non fare il grosso, so bene chi sei, dove abiti. Le cose che dici tu manco le sai, si le immagini. Sto blocco parla per me. Questi palazzi parlano per loro e per me. Senza sapere chi sono aprono la bocca e non sanno né un cazzo di me. Non c'è un cazzo di me, né di me né di stracche. Chiamo capo nella luce premier. Siamo i campioni pari San Germain. E so che significa tutto precipita. Faccio ricarica, gancia magnifica. I miei frauligan, alcuni anni si dà. Entrano in casa tua solo una visita. Questi parlano ma non li ho mai visti. Che palle, tutti video e dischi. La gang fa soldi, mica spicci. Si rapper si chiamano artisti. Io zitto e scopo queste bici. A casa piangi coi miei dischi. In strada non facete acquisti. Ci vedi da metri lontano, i miei frasi lo fanno. Dietro le guardie ci abbiamo la fanno. Saluto Mauro che mo manca un anno. Saluto Patrick che manca da anni. Io non mi credo nessuno sia chiaro. Tu non sei bravo nemmeno insultarmi. Non fare il magico sempre paparo. Con i miei ci stiamo, faccio uno e lavoriamo. Se cerchi i miei ci sono, di tutto e sto isolato. Se cerchi i miei ci stiamo, faccio tutto e più strano. Se cerchi i miei ci sono, ti fanno il prezzo buono. Ok, ok.
love boating? Do you want a hassle-free boating experience? You need to check out Freedom Boat Club. Freedom...
This guy as a young man had a dream to become a big movie star, to come to Hollywood and to become a great director, producer, and a writer, and all those kind of dreams he had. Of course, everyone told him it can't be done. But, you know, he wouldn't take no for an answer, and he moved across from New York to Los Angeles to Hollywood. And of course, one day, after struggling like we all do in the beginning, to get into TV and into movies, he had this idea of writing a script. And in longhand, he wrote this script, which was Rocky.
It's all about dreams. You
know, and by the way, dreams cost nothing. They're free. The hard part is just keeping them going, and please keep them going, because we're here for one simple reason. He believed in the dream, I believed in the dream, and our dreams come true, and there's no reason every one of yours can't either. I used to sit in this little apartment, and it was a room. As a matter of fact, the room was so small, I remember I was able to open up the window and close the door while sitting on the bed at the same time. It was like 8 feet by 8 feet by 9 feet. But the one thing about that room, there was really very little distraction. So I would sit there propped up in bed, and I'd go out with my big pen and legal pad and just start writing these stories. And most of them were very, very trivial. But there was something about the process of unrealized dreams. I was always brought back to this subject because I think it's one of the most enduring subjects and one of the most difficult passages for people to accept, that they never were realized in their own lifetime, that they just didn't get that shot. I decided it was a time to come to California, so I went to California. And I moved in the valley, and things weren't going very, very well there. As a matter of fact, I had to go out and try to sell my dog because he was either do that or he just was not going to be very well fed. And then one night, I went to see Muhammad Ali fight. For one brief moment, this supposed stumble bump turned out to be magnificent in the fact that he lasted and knocked the champion down. I said, boy, if this isn't a metaphor for life. His entire life crystallized at that moment. He will be remembered for all eternity, at least among the fight fans. He did something extraordinary. I said, now that is probably what I need as a catalyst for an idea. A man who's going to stand up to life and take one shot and maybe go the distance. So I started to write. And it was one of those writing frenzies. And 3 days later, I came up with the script of Rocky. Now, the script by no means was a finished piece of material. It was probably about 90 pages, and maybe 10% of it remained in the final script, but it was done. I first met Bob Shardoff and Erwin Winkler, and I believe I was there on a casting call. So we're talking a little bit, and I guess I really wasn't right for the acting part, and on the way out, I said, oh, I don't know if it matters, but I do a little bit of writing. Because really, he said, yeah, I'm writing this story. I have this thing about wrestlers, and I might do something about boxing. Well, he says, well, bring it around. And I thought, if I hadn't stopped on the way out, that's why I tell all actors or writers, don't give up, keep talking. Eventually, you might hit a nerve somewhere, and they go, come on back. And if they didn't say, come on back, or bring it later and let's see what you've developed, I wouldn't be sitting here. So I have to give incredible credit to their insight and their patience, and they're willing to take a chance, which it doesn't exist much anymore, unfortunately. Originally, I wrote the script to them. They were fairly enthusiastic about it. The one thing they were not enthusiastic about was me playing the part. And I really can't blame them at the time. But there was something inside of me that this opportunity is never going to come around. And I really wasn't used to money. And I had no idea of what I would be missing. But the temptation started to come forward. First it was 25 grand, then $100,000. I never heard of 100,000 because I'd had like $160 in the bank, and like I said, I had to sell my dog, and things were not looking very, very good. My $40 car had just blown up, so I was taking a bus to work, and still, it didn't matter. I wanted to stick with it. Then it went up to 150,000, 175,000, it went up to 250,000. Now my head was starting to spin, and it went up to 330,000, and probably I heard it went up to 360,000, and I thought, all right, you've really managed poverty very well. You've got this down to a science. You really don't need much to live on. I had like sort of figured it out. So I was not in any way used to life. So I thought, you know what? If I know in the back of my mind, if I sell this script and it does very, very well, I'm going to jump off a building if I'm not in it. So this is one of those things where you just roll the dice and you fly by the proverbial seat of your pants. Say, all right, I got to try it. I got to just do it. I may be totally wrong, and I'm going to be taking a lot of people down with me, but I just believe in it. We were working with the handheld camera at the time with Garrett Brown, and it was somewhat experimental. And he'd film me running through shopping malls and up down the steps and flights, curved corridors along the river until finally my legs basically gave out and I'm like writhing on the ground and I want to rise up and say, John, I'm dying here. And he goes, no, use it. Use the pain. I said, for what? I mean, I'm in misery. He goes, well, no. You know, it's giving your character, it's giving him some depth. I said, it's giving me bruises. It's giving me like agony. I can't sleep at night. Like the scene where we just jumped down and saw this ship along the dock, this docked along the pier. I said, just jump out, run as fast as you can along this ship, and I'm running and running. I said, you know what, my legs are buckling. I'm literally going to crash down here. Teeth are going to go, jaw, face. I'm just going to be ground down to this flat-faced image. Please. And I just barely made it.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
You can't be alone. To really succeed, no man really is an island. When you find the right components in your life, the right people that gel with you, then you feel as though you're invincible. It may be a fallacy, but you at least feel as though you can take all that life has to dish out. At the very end of our lives, if we can still say, you know, we were never humbled, we were knocked down, but we got up, and I can say, I lived life with integrity, and I took all the blows, as the song says, and I still prevailed. I think that's a good epitaph for anyone.
It's all about dreams, you know, and by the way, dreams cost nothing, they're free. The hard part is just keeping them going, and please keep them going, because we're here for one simple reason. He believed in the dream, I believed in the dream, and our dreams come true, and there's no reason every one of yours can't either.
How many times have you heard that you can't do this, you can't do that, it has never been done before? Just imagine if Bill Gates had quit when people said it can't be done. I hear this all the time. As a matter of fact, I love it when someone says, that no one has ever done this before, because then when I do it, that means that I'm the first one that has done it. And I said to my family, I want to be a bodybuilding champion. Now you can imagine how that went over in my home in Austria. My parents, they couldn't believe it. They would have been just happy if I would have become a police officer like my father, or married someone like Heidi, who had a bunch of kids and ran around like the Von Trapp family in Sound of Music. That's what my family had in mind for me, but something else burned inside me. Something burned inside me. I wanted to be different. I was determined to be unique. I was driven to think big and to dream big. Everyone else thought that I was crazy. My friends said, if you want to be a champion in a sport, why don't you go and become a bicycle champion or a skiing champion or soccer champion? Those are the Austrian sports. But I didn't care. I wanted to be a bodybuilding champion and use that to come to America and use that to go into the movies and make millions of dollars. So pay no attention to the people that say it can't be done. After all, I remember that after I was finished with my bodybuilding career, I wanted to get into acting, and I wanted to be a star in films. You can imagine what the agents said when I went to meet all those agents. Everyone had the same line that it can't be done. The rules are different here. It says, look at your body, you have this huge, monstrous body, overly developed, that doesn't fit into the movies. You don't understand. This was 20 years ago, the Hercules movies. Now there's the little guys that are in Dustin Hoffman, Woody Allen, Jack Nicholson. And the agent also complained about my accent. He says, no one ever became a star with an accent like that, especially not with a German accent. And yes, I can imagine with your name, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or whatever the name is, on a billboard. Yeah, that's going to draw a lot of tickets and sell a lot of tickets. Yeah, right. So this is the kind of negative attitude they had, but I didn't listen to those rules. Even though they were very nice, they said, look, we can get you some good plots. We can get you to be, playing a wrestler or a bouncer. Oh, maybe with your German accent, we can get you to be a Nazi officer in Hogan's Heroes or something like that. But, I didn't listen to all this. These were their rules, not my rules. I was convinced I could do it, that if I worked as hard as I did in bodybuilding 5 hours a day, and I started getting to work, I started taking acting classes, English classes, speech classes, dialogue classes, accent removal classes I even took. And finally I broke through. And I started getting the first parts in TV, the streets of San Francisco. Lucille Ball hired me. I made Funky Town, Stay Hungry, and then I got the big break in Conan the Barbarian. And there the director said if we wouldn't have Schwarzenegger, we would have to build one. Now think about that. And then when I did Terminator, I'll be back. Became one of the most famous lines in movie history, all because of my crazy accent. Now think about it, the things that the agent said will be totally a detriment. It will be impossible for me to get a job. All of a sudden became an asset for me. All of the things, my accent, my body and everything. So it just shows you never listen that you can't do something. You have to work your way up, of course, run for something else first. I mean, it was the same when I ran for governor. The same lines, work your way up, it can't be done. And then, of course, I ran for governor, and the rest, of course, is history. They said you have to start with a small job as mayor, and then as assemblyman, and then as lieutenant governor, and then as governor. And they said, that's the way it works in a political career. I said, I'm not interested in a political career. I want to be a public servant. I want to fix California's problems and bring people together and bring the parties together. So like I said, I decided to run. I didn't pay attention to the rules, and I made it. The rest is history. People ask me all the time, they say to me, what is the secret to success? So many young people are getting so much advice from their parents and from the teachers and from everyone. But what is most important is that you have to dig deep down and ask yourself, who do you want to be? Not what, but who. And I'm talking about not what your parents and teachers want you to be, but you. I'm talking about figuring out for yourselves what makes you happy.
dream is to help people understand how the universe operates so that each person can find their own unique purpose within the cosmic plan. My name is Matthias Stefan, and my purpose is to remember. Since I was 3, I began to remember past lives before I was born. This part of my brain that is still active allows me to remember the past in full detail and connects me with the cosmic memory that unites us all. I believe I have been given this gift so that I can help people understand the structure of the universe we live in, the concept of our existence, and the importance of things we ignore in everyday life that are essential for our growth. In this series, we will go beyond what you have read in history books. We will cover races that influenced humanity since Lemuria and Atlantis, and the great war that took place in our galaxy. I will share with you how to open your heart portal so that you can help others. And last but not least, I will share how our world exists and
spend a lot of time for myself so to figure out and listen to what is inside my heart and inside my head. Something burned inside me. I wanted to be different. I was determined to be unique. I was driven to think big, to dream big. I always wanted to be very intense. I always wanted to be number one. I took it very seriously in my career. And so this intensity always paid off for me. This commitment always paid off for me. I didn't want to just be a bodybuilding champion. I wanted to be the best bodybuilder of all times. I didn't want to just be a movie star. I wanted to be a great movie star. It's the highest paid movie star and have above the title billing. I mean, how many times have you heard that you can't do this, you can't do that, that has never been done before? I hear this all the time. I was told to my face, you're nothing but a giant muscle. You can't act. You have no future. You have an accent that is laughable. That just shows you again so much more it can't be done. This is why I try to tell you, anything and everything can be done if you can visualize and if you believe in yourself. You're going to find the naysayers in every turn that you make. Don't listen. Just visualize your goal, know exactly where you want to go. Trust yourself. So pay no attention to the people that say it can't be done. Trust yourself no matter what anyone else thinks. What is the point of being on this earth if all you want to do is be liked by everyone and avoid trouble? We have so many rules in life about everything. The only way that I ever got any place was by breaking some of the rules. It is impossible to be a maverick or a true original if you're too well behaved and don't want to break the rules. You have to think outside the box. Now, of course, this journey is not going to be without any setbacks, failures, or disappointments. That's just the way life is. Don't be afraid to fail. You can't always win, but don't be afraid of making decisions. You can't be paralyzed by fear of failure, or you would never push yourself. You keep pushing because you believe in yourself and in your vision. And you know that it's the right thing to do. Success will come, so don't be afraid to fail. Always believe leaving no stone unturned. That's what makes you a champion. When you're out there partying, horsing around, someone out there at the same time is working hard. Someone is getting smarter and someone is winning. You never want to fail because you didn't work hard enough. But if you want to win, there's absolutely no way around hard work. No pain, no gain. Whatever path that you take in your lives, you must always find time to give something back. Something back to your community, give something back to your state or to your country. Tear down that mirror. Tear down that mirror that makes you always look at yourself. And you will be able to look beyond that mirror and you will see the millions of people that need your help. Reaching out and helping people will bring you more satisfaction than anything else you've ever done. trust yourself, break some rules, don't be afraid to fail, ignore the naysayers, work like hell, and give something back. I remember my mother-in-law, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, when she started Special Olympics in 1968, people said that it would not work. The experts, the doctors that specialized in mental disabilities and mental retardation said it can't be done. You can't bring people out of the institution. You can't make them participate in sports, in jumping, in swimming, and in running. They will hurt themselves, they will hurt each other, they will drown in the pool. But let me tell you something, now 40 years later, Special Olympics is one of the greatest organizations in 164 countries dedicated to people with mental disabilities, with intellectual challenge, and she did not take no for an answer. And the same is when you look at Barack Obama. I mean, imagine if he would have listened. If he would have listened to the naysayers, he would have never run for president. People said it couldn't be done, that he couldn't get elected, that he couldn't beat Hillary Clinton, that he would never win the general election. But he followed his own heart, he didn't listen to the you can't, and he changed the course of American history. So over and over you see that if I would have listened to the naysayers, I would still be in the Austrian Alps yodeling. I would never have come to America. I would have never met my wonderful wife, Maria Shriver. I would have never had the wonderful 4 kids. I would have never done Terminator. I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today as governor of the greatest state, the greatest country in the world. So I never listened that you can't. I always listened to myself and said, yes, you can.
Reading inspirational quotes and watching motivational videos will only get you so far. To achieve your goals consistently and effectively, require a plan of action and accountability. Hi, I'm Davis Wondero Jr.
The double bottom played out on the New Zealand versus the USD.
What is your goal? The most important thing is that you have a vision, that you have a goal. Because without that vision and without that goal, again, you're drifting around and you're never going to end up anywhere. People don't become successful just by accident. You know, I mean, maybe the guy that found gold in California and started the gold rush, but don't count on that. That's a one in a lifetime kind of a situation. So you got to really have a specific goal, and to me, to have that vision that I want to be Mr. Universe, that I want to be the greatest bodybuilder of all time. That was a great vision, and that specifically to look like Reg Parker, to be up there on that stage and to lift the trophy overhead and to win the championship over and over and over again. So that was a great goal. You have to have a goal. Now, it doesn't have to be that specific goal, but it has to have some goal. This is why I always recommend to people, sit down, take your time, and start thinking about it. Why do you want to work out? What is your goal? That can be as crazy as it is. It could be, you know, I want to impress girls. If that's your goal, so be it, but it motivates you. It could be that you're emulating a certain, you know, bodybuilder, or a certain football player, a certain boxer, whatever it is. Have those pictures put all over the wall like I did when I was a kid. I put pictures of Reg Parker, of Sonny Liston, of boxers, and of Ali, and of powerlifters and weightlifters all over my bedroom, you know, wall. So that every day when I go to sleep, every day when I wake up, I look at those pictures and they motivate me. You need that motivation, and then therefore you have this kind of imprint in front of you all the time, and you know exactly what you're chasing. The neighbor always came up to me and says, why are you smiling? You're working out 5 hours a day. You're doing the same as the other guys, but the other guys have a sour face. They're pissed off that they have to do another rep or another set or something. I looked forward to another 1,000 reps of sit-ups. I looked forward to another 500 pounds of leg press or squat. I looked forward to doing more and more curls until my arms fall off. Why? Because I knew that every rep that I did, and every set that I did, and more weights that I lifted, I get one step closer to turning that vision into reality. So I was turned on by that. I was excited. I couldn't wait to get to the gym. I remember that when I weighed 245 pounds, and Bob Raferson, the director of Stay Hungry, said to me that I'm interested in having you come in for a reading and work on your acting and all this because I'm interested in having you in a movie to star with Jeff Bridges and with Sally Fields. I was delighted about it. I was excited. I started pumping up more and more. And then he said, but I don't want you to weigh more than 210 pounds. You want me to be in a movie, but I'm weighing 245 to 46. I say, I just won the Olympia. I say, which was 1974. And I was really at my biggest. And but he demanded that. And he says, look, it's very simple. On the day we start shooting, he says, I'm going to put you on the scale. And if you don't make the 210, you're out. Because I have someone else in mind. And I worked on it. I started visualizing myself very clearly as a lean athlete. Because that's the only way I could lose that weight and all of a sudden get interested in running more. Because up until that point I ran like 3 miles after training or before training or whatever. But now all of a sudden it was 5 miles, 6 miles, 7 miles, 8 miles. And they even ran mini marathons in order to lose the weight. And I did everything in high reps. And I was watching my diet, what I eat and all those kind of things. And but the day before, I remember we were in Birmingham, Alabama. The day before I was at the YMCA with Bob Raferson. He was swimming, and I was working out, and I was running. There was a track there, and I was running. He says, let's step on the scale. And I stepped on the scale, and I weighed 209. So it just shows you what is possible if you visualize exactly what you want to look like.
Your business idea needs a website? So go to Wix.com. Now, I know what you're thinking, another Wix ad. But before you skip, think about it. It's time to grow your business. So what are you waiting for? Today's the day. I'll show you how. This is the site I created for my ad agency. We're all about creativity. So we want our website to be as dynamic as we are. Now we're talking. This show reel helps us attract new clients. So we always keep it up to date. Looking good. We just won an award for some epic content. I'll share the news right now with an email marketing campaign. Add a new pic. Nice. I love it. Wow. It turned out great.